Hi guys, thank you for watching. Welcome to this video and to my channel if you're new here. My name's Debbie if you don't know me, and today's video is going to be with this palette. It's the Barry M Wildlife Pangolin palette. I've already done a review and 2 looks with the Wildlife Rhino palette, which is the more neutral of the two, and this one's the colourful one. Both came out at the same time and they're part of the wildlife range that Barry M are doing now, where 20% of the net profits go to the David Shepherd Wildlife Foundation for animal conservation, and whichever palette you buy, the profits go to that animal. So if you're buying the pangolin palette, it's going to preventing illegal trafficking of that animal. For the rhino palette, it's, you know, to conserve the rhino, etc. So really great cause, as well as fantastic quality palettes, spoiler alert. So I'm wearing the palette now. This is look 2. You're going to see 2 looks in this video, and I'm going to run down all of the shades and what I think of them, because there's 9 shades in the palettes. I've used every one, which is why my eye looks pretty crazy, but I really enjoy how it came out actually. But that's the palette if you're not familiar with it. So 9 shades in there. You've got 3 mattes across the centre and then the rest are shimmers. Generally I wouldn't like that ratio, but with the Barry M formula they're quite easy to blend, and I've found no trouble in blending the shimmer shades in my crease either. So I think it's a pretty versatile palette. So I'm going to jump into the 2 looks, then I'll catch up with you at the end and give you my thoughts. And as I've gone along, I've kind of given you some thoughts as well. But as I say, I'll catch up with you properly at the end after you've seen the 2 looks and tell you my thoughts on each of the shades. So let's jump into look number 1. Okay, so for look number 1, to save some time, I've already primed my eyes with the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk and blended that out right up to my brows, because these being bright shades, I think they might pop more over a white base with a bit of grip to it. So I'm going to use Nocturnal as my crease shade. I'm going to use Moonbeam and Timid as my lid shades, and then Poached on my lower lash line, I think. So very much staying in the purples and pinks for this look. So going in with Nocturnal, I'm going to lay that shade down very carefully to start with, because that is a pretty pigmented shade, particularly over this white. I'm going to go all the way into the inner corner of my crease, which I don't do all that often. And we're going to do a rounded shape today, which again I don't do all that often. So just wanted to do that today. I think it could look nice with the look I've got in mind. So I'm not finding it too difficult to build this pigment up at all, which is why I love these palettes so much and why I keep raving about them for drugstore. You just don't get pigment like this. Look at that. It's just packed on without really any effort, but with no fallout. I think it's working better over a white base. I tried the Rhino palette over the Painterly Paint Pot and I've got good pigmentation, but this white base is really making it pop, as you can see. Super pretty raspberry shade. Now I'm going to work on blending that shade out, and there isn't really a shade in the palette to do that with, so I'm just going to work on just blending and blending until we kind of make another shade out of this shade, if that makes sense. So just really working on the edges and working it up towards my brow, and this takes quite a bit of time to do. It's easier if you've got a blending out shade, and obviously you could bring a lighter pink in, but I don't want to do that because I just want to show you what you can do just with this palette on its own rather than bringing anything else in, and I think it can be done. It just takes a bit of work. So I'll speed up the blending footage, but I'll leave the footage in there so you can see what it takes to get it to do that. But a little bit of the shadow is going a super long way. And now I'm going back into that nocturnal shade just to super intensify that crease. Really want to get some dimension there. And now we've blended that out, it's a lot easier now to do that. And the brush I'm using is the Morphe M321. I love this one because it's small, but it's kind of a bullet shape that you can really get into your crease with, but it's pretty flexible brushes to be able to blend out as well. Now I'm going in with NYX glitter primer to cut my lids to give us room for the shimmers to go. So I'm cutting my lid in an oval kind of shape rather than a cut crease shape, so which is why I kept the crease colour very rounded. And I've got a fair bit of transfer of that pink onto my lid, but it won't matter because the shimmers we're putting there are in the pink and purple family and they're going to stick very well to the glitter primer, so we shouldn't have a problem with that. Okay, it looks super messy and crazy right now, but it will come together in the end, I'm hoping. So for the outer corner, I'm going to go in with Moonbeam and build that up on the outer V. Then I'm going to go in with Poached, and then I'm going to finish off with Timid in the inner corner. Those two colours are meshing together really well. They really complement each other and look really pretty next to each other, I think. And in with the shade Timid, the last shade that we're going to use on the lid, and I'm trying to be a bit more precise with that shade because that's where it's really going to show the cut there of the lid, so just being careful. Got a stunning purple shift to that colour. Looks pink in the pan, but it's definitely got a lilac shift on the eyes. It's super, super pretty. Just to clean up that cut a little bit, I'm going back into Nocturnal and a very small brush by Morphe just to clean up where I've gone over the lines a little bit. Little bit of a cheat there. Okay, so that's the upper lid's done. For my lower lash line, I'm going to go in with a pencil by Urban Decay. This one's Woodstock. I'm getting quite low on this one. It's a really nice pink pencil. There's not too many good pink pencils around, so I really like this one. I'm taking it into my waterline and on my lower lash line as an eyeshadow base as such. Then I'm going to go back into Poach and I'm going to set that lower lash line pencil with that shade. A nice shimmery lower lash. When I get to the outer corner, I'm going to try and connect those up but still keep the rounded shape as much as we can. And then back into that Timid shade just as an inner corner highlight. I'm going to spray that with setting spray just to make that pop a little bit more. And I'm going to take that a little bit onto the lower lash line as well. So I'm sort of connecting up with that cut crease and bringing it round. Okay, so that's the eyes to this point. Just going to hop off camera for a mini wing with some black liner and a lip for the look, and I'll be right back with you to show you look number one. Okay, so here's the finished look. Had a vision for this look to kind of be like a black cherry kind of inspired kind of vibe, and that's why I've got the earrings in that I have to kind of like pull that kind of vibe out. And so I wanted to go with a lipstick that completed that kind of vibe for me. So I've lip lined with Blackmail by Urban Decay, because when using shades this dark, I always find that helps. And then the lipstick I've used is this one. It's Cherry by Urban Decay, that came out with the Naked Cherry collection. Such a beautiful black cherry shade. So yeah, I really love how it turned out. I love the shimmers, particularly on the lids. They're just so pretty. And in particular, that shade, that timid shade, is just super beautiful. So, but they're all really lovely, to be honest. So yeah, I really like look number 1. Let's move on to look number 2. I'm going to start the look with the inner part of my crease. I don't start that often, but I'm going to do that today, and I'm going to use the shade Defense to do that. It's got a lot of kick up in the pan, but it's pretty vivid for a pale yellow shade. It's like a acid yellowy greeny colour, I would say. But yes, pretty powdery, but quite pigmented for the type of shade it is, I would say. So I'm packing that down, and I'm going to go in an upward sort of shape, because I want to prepare for the crease work that I'm going to do, and I want to do the crease work high to give me plenty of room for shimmers, as I did in look 1. So probably most of the way in towards my nose and to my brow with that. I'm going to work with that to really build it up. It's a beautiful tone of yellow, and I think for the inner corner part of the crease where I'm putting it, it's working quite well. And I've just got a fluffy brush just to diffuse the edges, but it's not going to take much, because a light shade like that, it's almost blended itself there in that corner. It is all over the pan of the pink, so it's quite a powdery shade. So then I'm going to go in with the shade Forest, and I'm going to continue the crease along. Got a Morphe E18 here, because it's quite flat but fluffy, so it'll help me to pack that pigment on. And I'm just going to lay it beside that yellow for the time being, and then I'm going to go in to blend those 2 shades together in a moment. But I'm only going to take it to where I've taken it now, because I want to wing up with the blue, which is a shimmer in the palette, but we're going to have a shimmery lower lash line and a shimmery kind of top part of the crease. You can see what I mean when I've gotten there with it. Don't feel like the pigment in these shades is as strong as the pink one, the Nocturnal shade I used in look 1. They're more like a pastel. Just going back in with the original brush that we put the yellow on with, and just trying to just create a little blend there just by dragging those 2 shades backwards and forwards. The only thing I would say, I would have liked to have gotten that pigment just a bit stronger with that turquoise. I'm just going to go back in, give us another layer of that, just to make sure it is fully opaque, because you can almost see through it. It doesn't look horrible or anything, but I just want to get the pigment as strong as I can. Another clean brush is the Kaleidos S3. I'm just blending out those edges of that colour. Okay, next I'm going to go in with a NYX pencil in the shade Azure, and I'm going to start on my lower lash line but flick it to my outer V area and the outer part of my crease, and then I'm going to fill in with the shade Hunted from the palette. But I think it'll be easier to get the shape using the pencil first. So I've pretty much taken that into my waterline and on my lower lash line, and then, as I say, using that as a guide for the shadows I'm going to put there. Looking completely crazy right now, but it will come together in the end, I promise. So I'm going in with a pencil brush now, and this one's got quite a pointed tip to it, which will help with the process, I think. So going into that shade Hunted, and I'm just taking that on the very outer corners there, and I'm going to blend that into that forest shade that's already there, but at the moment I'm just packing that down to get that shape. And also laying it into my outer V, but just on the very edges of that. That's That's laid down super easily and it's blended really nicely with that forest shade without any trouble really. So I'm just going to set the lower lash line with that Hunted shade as well. I think that Azure pencil was pretty much the perfect match for that shade. And I'm surprised at how good those NYX pencils are, the skinny pencils. I never really use the skinny ones. I use the jumbo ones all the time, but never so much the skinny ones. I want some more now. These are really, really good. So I've pretty much taken that, well I have taken that blue all the way along the lower lash line to the inner corner. Although this is a shimmer, because they're sort of a satiny formula, it's working okay on the crease and this outer area here. I'm just going to go back in with a bit more of that forest shade. I'm still not completely happy with the opacity of that. So going in with NYX Glitter Primer, I'm going to cut the inner part of my lids. I'm going to stop around about there. I'm just going to whiz through the footage for that, and then we'll be back to do the fun part with the shimmers on the lids. So the plan is I'm going to go in with Ancient over most of my lids and then Lost on the inner part. And probably as an inner corner highlight as well. This is super pigmented. This is a little bit tricky because I am trying to go a little bit above my natural crease line but still keep this orange fairly crisp there. Beautiful, beautiful tone of orange though. This would have gone absolutely beautiful with the pinky crease we did in look 1 as well. I just wanted to do something super colourful today. Now where those two shades meet, I'm just going to drag them gently across each other, but we don't want to blend too much there because they're not really colours that go brilliantly together blended, but I think we'll get away with it as there's only a very tiny hint of it in the outer corner there. I think that's looking okay. I'm going to take a bit of that blue just to mash over the edge. We're getting sort of a purpley tone and it doesn't look too bad actually. Because the majority of the focus of the lid is on that orange, I don't think you're going to be noticing this corner action here. Okay, just going into Lost now, same brush, just going to flip it over and just tucking that just in that inner part of my lid there. And just blending it slightly over the top of that orange. I'm then going to take a bit more of Lost and spray it with Fix Plus, and that's going in the inner corner. Okay, that's the look to this point. Just going to hop off camera for a black wing liner, some mascara and a lip for the look. Probably a neutral lip with this one because there's a lot going on in the eye look. And I'll catch you at the end to show you look 2 and give you my final thoughts on the Pangolin palette. Okay guys, so here's the finished look for this one. I've paired it with MAC Velvet Teddy. I thought we got enough going on in the eyes. I needed a neutral lip. I don't always wear a neutral lip, but I think with a look like this, could have gone orange maybe, but I think the eyes are statement enough, so let's let them do the talking, I think. Really glad how it turned out. That kind of highlight of orange on my lids I think is really setting off the look, so I'm glad I decided to be brave and put that there. I wasn't sure where to use the orange, but I think it's worked quite well. So the palette then, well, let's just take a moment for the artwork on this one. They're all stunning, but I think this one is probably my favourite so far. There's been a tiger palette and a snow leopard in the first wave of these palettes. There's now 4 of these palettes, but I think this one is my favourite. It's just beautiful. The artwork's by an artist called Emily Lamb, and Barry M are a British cruelty-free vegan brand. They've been going since 1982, and I just think they're doing something a bit different for the drugstore, which is amazing to see, like the quality that they're putting into these and the artwork, just the care and attention, and that they're highlighting the plight of animals and donating some of the profits. It's just amazing to see. The palettes are cardboard. There is a mirror in there, pretty good decent sized mirror, good quality mirror. And for the shades then, we've got 3 mattes across the centre, and to begin with I thought that would be limiting for me, but I've not had any issues at all. That one, the Nocturnal shade, oh my god, that is just an incredible matte. That rivals most high-end mattes of that colour that I've got in my collection, I have to say. The pigment that I got out of that, packed over a white base. I did these over a white base because I just know these kind of shades just really pop. And I thought you guys wouldn't mind because I used a drugstore base. So if you're wanting to keep things on the affordable side, the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk is fairly inexpensive, lasts forever, and is a really good eye base. I use it all the time. So that Nocturnal shade I thought was amazing. Those pinks in the first look, particularly that one, that shade Timid, oh wow, the duochromy sort of purple pink in that one, when it hit that shade there, the Poached shade. These names, when I'm reading them, are just making me a bit sad when you see some of the Hunted, Poached. It just brings it to life what the palettes are trying to do and how sad the message is there. But that shade nonetheless is so gorgeous with the Timid shade. So look number 1 I really enjoyed, and I was able to get quite a dramatic look for really just using the pinks and purples. So I set myself a challenge to use all the colours in the 2 looks, so I was left with 5 colours. So I was left with the orange shade Ancient, which is the star of the show on my lids there. The shade Forest, you saw me have a few problems getting the opacity on that one. Wasn't quite as pigmented as some of the others. I've built it up to the intensity I wanted, but it did take me a while to do. And I felt the same a little bit about Defence, but it's because it's one of those sort of yellow into lime kind of shades, and I've got high-end ones that are similar that you need to really build up to see. I think if I hadn't done a white base, that wouldn't be showing up nearly as well as it is. So just to make you aware, it is a bit more an opaque shade, but it has worked really well in this look. As I say, you'll need to build it up and pack it over a white base, I think, to get the pigmentation from it. The shade Hunted, which I used over that Azure NYX pencil in my outer corner and on my lower lash line. Such a pretty tone of blue, and as I say, I was able to blend it sort of on the outer part of my crease here without any problems, and it's laid down really nicely over that pencil on my lower lash line. I often use a pencil as a base on my lower lash. It really helps with the pigmentation. And then the shade Lost, I think, is super pretty as an inner corner highlight, and is on the inner part of my lid here as well. So I think there's so much you could do with it. I mean, generally you wouldn't put a myriad of these colours on your eyes, I guess. I'm going to work today in this look, it doesn't bother me, but I think for the general consumer, you would probably stick to one colour. So you'd probably maybe go with the blues and greens together, or perhaps that yellow and the orange together, for example. But I think that crease colour, the Nocturnal, but with Ancient on the lid, could look beautiful. I can see a lot of colour combinations in this one for only having 9 shades and only having 3 mattes. So in summary, I think you know already, but I'm really impressed with this palette and with both of the palettes from this second wave of Wildlife products from Barry M. They've got nail polishes and lip balms as well. I've bought the peachy tone of the nail polish. I've not had a chance to try yet, and I'm eager to try the lip balms. I just need to do another purchase really. Quite often they do buy 2 products and get a third free for Barry M, which makes it even better value. So I have no hesitation in recommending you to pick these up. I think it just depends on what you prefer in terms of colour story. If you're more of a neutral eyeshadow lover, then you'll probably go for the Rhino. If you like colour, then you'll go with this one, but I think they would go really well together, and I think they're building a colour story whereby you can bring the other palettes in. So if you bought the Tiger or the Snow Leopard, they're going to pair quite well. You've got some mattes in those where you've got shimmers in these, for example. So if you have got the others, I think you will enjoy buying these to add to your collection. It's a shame, I think they've discontinued the other 2 in Superdrug, but I think you can still get all 4 palettes on Barry M's website should you want to do so. So that wraps up the 2 looks and my thoughts on the Pangolin palette. Hope you've enjoyed watching. I'd love to know down in the comments which was your favourite of the 2 looks, and also whether you're intending to pick this palette up or whether maybe you've got it already, and whether you've been inspired to maybe create something a little bit out of the box with this palette. So that brings us to the end. If you've enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button for me. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you. But I hope you're having a lovely day or night wherever you are, guys, and I'll catch you in tomorrow's video. Bye!